This is a hull inspection on the Chervon Antwerp. We did this October the 19th, 1992. This film will get both vertical sides and the flat bottom. It'll show you the propeller and all the running gear, the sea chest, sea scoop, and the dry dock block areas. We found hard shell barnacle growth on both sides of the vessel. We didn't find any on the flat bottom. There's a small amount on the dry dock blocks, and the amount that we found on the vertical sides is a small amount on the starboard side, but on the port side, from midship to the house, is quite a lot of barnacle growth, and there's grass growth on both sides of the vessel. The grass goes anywhere from a 1/4 inch to 1 inch in size. There's a little cavitation on the propeller, nothing real bad. There's some crustacean growth on the propeller that is about 80% coverage both sides. And there's some algae growth back there, about 40% coverage on the aft side and 25 on the forward side. The propeller could use a polishing really bad right now. The sea chest gratings also could need to be cleaned because they have barnacle growth covering them. The visibility today in the water was only about 5 to 10 feet. It's very poor visibility. So the first part of this film is a very close-up. The cameraman kept the camera real close to the hull to give you some real detail of the paint cracking, the size of the grass, and the hard shell. So the focus is going to be blurry in and out as he moves because a slight movement changes the focus on the camera there. Later in the film, we'll back that close-up away, and you can see some distance shots. Here we're in the water on the port bow of the vessel. This is anchor chain scrapes. There was no hard shell growing in any of these scrapes up here, but there was a lot of grass and marine growth, like hard grass and algae. This is a K-pack system you're looking at right here. This is a whale seam, a vertical whale seam on the vertical side of the vessel. All the whale seams look real good. We didn't see any erosion or corrosion, anything like that to them. They all look in good shape. We didn't see any cracks in them other than paint cracks. We did see paint cracks. This is the flat bottom. This is a dry dock block area on the flat bottom. There's only maybe 5% coverage of hard shell on these blocks. This is a welded seam right here. This is a horizontal welded seam. It's in real good condition. We don't see any cracks or problems with this. In fact, we didn't see any cracks or problems with any of the weld seams throughout the inspection of this vessel. This is some of the small algae grass growth right here. The reason it looks like the camera is moving so fast is because it's so close up. It's focused very close up in this first part of the film. We're on the port vertical side here. We're halfway between the bow and the midship area. This is the leading edge of the bilge keel. We didn't see any cracks or any damage to this very leading edge. But just a short way down this bilge keel, there is a dent in it where it has hit something. And you'll see that on the film here shortly. Right here, this is it. There's a little bitty dent in the bilge keel right there. This is underneath the bilge keel. That dented area right there is maybe 6 to 8 inches. And then something was over the top of the bilge keel right there to scratch this paint off. Probably the same thing that dented that bilge keel. This is the outside edge of the bilge keel on the port side of the vessel. There's no cracks in that area right there. It's just bent down. This is mud cracking, and something has scraped this paint. And you can see where the paint's been just peeled off from the scratches, especially in the mud cracking area. This is a whale seam that we were following right there. We're on the flat bottom. This is a dry dock block on the flat bottom. You can see some hard shell growing on it. This is the center keel of the flat bottom where all these blocks are. This is mud cracking right here. This is just barely above the bilge keel. This is on the port side. This is some grass and algae growth. There's a whale seam. Here's some hard shell growth on the port side of the vessel. This is the midship draft marks. The algae and grass and barnacles on the vertical sides were from about the 30-foot draft mark to the bilge keels. The fuzz you see here is small algae. This is the bilge keel. Now this is the coming up the vertical side. Some more paint cracking, some fine algae growth. These scars here is operational damage. Look like something that was scratched when it come out of dry dock maybe. This is the sea chest grating on the port side. This is the main discharge on the port side of the vessel. This is speed log on the flat bottom. Speed log was very clean. Now we're on the starboard side of the vessel in the bow area. This is an algae and small grass that we're wiping off here. This is a whale seam on the vertical side in the port bow area of the vessel. All these whales were in good condition. We didn't see any cracks or breaks or scrapes in these. This is the top of the bilge keel on the starboard side. This is a whale seam on the flat bottom on the starboard side of the vessel, maybe 5 foot in from the bilge keel. The cracks you see across this whale seam is nothing but mud cracking from the paint. The whale seam itself is in good condition. This is underneath the bilge keel on the starboard side, forward amidships. This is paint cracking and delamination. And the barnacles are growing in the area of delamination. This is underneath the bilge keel. The profile on the barnacles on this port starboard side of the vessel are anywhere from 2 to 4 inches. This area of barnacles right here was approximately 10 to 12 feet wide and 30 to 40 feet in length. Visibility was real poor today. This camera is really helping us out quite a bit. I wish the visibility had been better, and I could let you see all of this in one shot so you could check the size in comparison to length and width. But visibility being what it was, we just try to get you as good a long shot as possible so you kind of determine what we have here. The scale in the diver's hand is a foot long, so you can get a good idea the size of some of these barnacled areas. Here we are still on the starboard side, the vertical side of the vessel, moving from forward to aft. This is a grass above the barnacle hardshell in this one small area here. This is the midship. This is another area of barnacle growth after the midship. The barnacle growth like this that you just got through seeing prior to this one were both forward of the midship area. This is after the midship area. Profile here is like 2 inches. This grass here is about 1 inch in length. This is a starboard sea chest intake gratings, and this is the barnacles all the way around the outsides and clogging the gratings themselves. Yeah, the profile here is like 3.5 to 4 inches. We found some dead fish and big jellyfish like this one here clogging these gratings, and we removed them, as you can see. This is an auxiliary sea chest grating on the starboard side. It's almost completely closed up with barnacles. These anodes are just forward of the propeller on the starboard side of the vessel. Now we move to the propeller. This is propeller blades and hub area. This is rope guard. This is where we take the tail shaft clearance. We didn't see any indication of any oil leaks there, so the seal is in good shape. The propeller blade here, you see a lot of crustacean. That's the brown sort of color on this prop. That is very hard to remove. You have to be real careful with it. This is a cavitation burn out on the outer edge of the propeller tip. This cavitated area here is, like you see, about 2 inches wide, about 8 inches long, and it kind of digs down into the blade about maybe an eighth to a quarter of an inch. This algae, green algae coverage here, runs about halfway up the blade. The other half, you see that crustacean growth. That crustacean is on the entire blade, but you actually got algae growing on top of it on the lower half of the blade. Then you have the cavitation burns on the outer half out here. This is the propeller cap. This is the zinc anodes on the rudder. Most of these anodes were in real good shape, real good condition. They look fairly new, like this one here. This is the top of the rudder where it's connected to the tiller arm. This side was in pretty good shape there, no problems. Which this is the starboard side. Now on the port side here, some of the grout is missing from these big cap screws here. Has barnacles growing around it. This is the top of the rudder, and we're going to move on down to the trailing edge of the rudder here. This is the end of the video. If you have any questions and we could be of any help, just give us a call.